Professor Akber S. Ahmad, Cambridge, May 1995. Former High Commissioner, Professor of Princeton University, maker of the film Jinnah. Thomas Mann had said, "A man's dying is more the survivor's affair than his own." Rafi Butt's death at a young age shortly after the creation of Pakistan was to influence the life of his young son, Imtiaz. When he became a man, he embarked on a journey to discover his father. The discovery for a dead father who he had not known. The discovery of his own identity. The discovery of his own sense of self. Professor Rusdi Wasti's book is what one has come to expect of his eminent Pakistani scholar. It is a historical account which set the life of Rafi Butt in the context of a larger Muslim history in the subcontinent. We are given a historical introduction which sets the argument. We are then taken through the life of Rafi Butt. New information and new material add to the interest of the story. The short book had several merits to commend itself to the reader. Firstly, it throws light on Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. It shows him in correspondence with a young unknown man from the Punjab devoted to the Muslim cause. It shows how Mr. Jinnah was able to generate enthusiasm amongst the younger generation. Secondly, it is an interesting comment on the politics of Pakistan, whereas the established landlords and people in power tended to be ambivalent about Mr. Jinnah's idea of Pakistan. It was the less privileged and younger Muslims who were enthusiastic about it. It therefore reflects a light on the politics of the Muslim movement that would lead to the creation of Pakistan. The book is also a reflection on the politics of Pakistan today. It is an established fact that those who are poor, have less privileges, and less authority have far more intense feeling for the nation than the elite who are accused of being sunk in corruption, nepotism, and serving their own immediate interests. We have Mr. Jinnah's writing to Imtiaz's father complaining that some distinguished industrialists have committed funds which they have not paid up. Such financial shenanigans mark Muslim behavior even today. Mr. Jinnah had not only to fight the full power of the Indian National Congress and the machinations of Lord Mountbatten and his staff, but also the indifference and dishonesty of Muslims themselves. This apathy had to be balanced by the raw enthusiasm of people like Imtiaz's father. If the Pakistan movement had to succeed, the vision of Pakistan was thus seen by the young and those who could foresee the destiny of their people. In this, the Butt's father and son line up with the Quaid. As an act of devotion, Imtiaz founded the Jinnah Rafi Foundation based in Lahore. With this one act, he joined the memory of his father to Mr. Jinnah and paid tribute to both. Finally, it is a dramatic personal story, a story of a double discovery. It is a son discovering a father, and it is a father discovering his own identity through the leader that he had found and acknowledged. Imtiaz, as a young boy, did not know his father, a father who mysteriously disappeared, a mother devoted to the family and determined to ensure that the loss of the father did not in any way make the children vulnerable. She compensated for the loss of the husband by giving the children the best possible education and ensuring that they did not feel the absence of a protecting hand. The mother's courage and character clearly shines through. But when he was an established man in his own right, Imtiaz began to feel the yearning to discover his father. He discovered his father's great commitment to Mr. Jinnah through some letters. Through this affiliation, he began to investigate his father's life. The discovery led to Imtiaz's devotion to Mr. Jinnah. In the process, Imtiaz learned a great deal about himself, his society, and his own nation. So in a sense, the personal tragedy of losing his father so early in life was converted into a personal triumph. Rafi Butt's life story in itself is the ordinary story of many young Muslims living in India who had a vision of their own identity and culture. It is the story of many young Muslims who looked for and found a leader in Mr. Jinnah. What makes it interesting is the revival of the story half a century after his death. That in itself is a story worth telling. I first heard of and met Imtiaz Rafi in January 1994. I was on my own quest for the guide. I was hoping then to put together a package to make a film about Mr. Jinnah and write a book about him. I needed to talk to people who had a similar interest. I was told in Islamabad of Mr. Butt. I rang Imtiaz and prepared to meet him. I did not know what to expect. I was told he was an established industrialist. On asking about him, I was also aware of the resentment created by his youth and his attempts to do something positive by establishing his Jinnah Rafi Foundation. It was the way of our society. Jealousy and malice met anyone wishing to do something original. Imtiaz lives in a society of cynics, well described by Oscar Wilde. A cynic is a man who knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. It also reflected the Punjab social structure. The established families were also possessive of young blood encroaching on their turf. It is said that why pay money to have your family tree praised? In Pakistan, if you are in the public eye, your opponents will do it for you. In Lahore, I met Imtiaz. I was expecting an old, overweight businessman in a shalwar kameez caught up in the daily turmoil of making money. But I found a young, elegant, pleasant, and intelligent man in a smart Western. Imtiaz is also the honorary consul for Malaysia in Lahore. He was fully dedicated to the Jinnah Rafi Foundation. Our friendship continued from that time. I always found him devoted to the cause of Mr. Jinnah. He was always available for consultation, for support, and for ideas. The discouragement that Pakistan society constantly creates did not slow him down. Jinnah Rafi Foundation engaged in publications and seminars. I wish them both well. Professor Akber S. Ahmad, Cambridge, May 1995. Former High Commissioner, Professor of Princeton University, maker of the film Jinnah.